Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker became the 15th Republican to enter the 2016 race last night and threw out several pounds of right-wing red meat in a fairly transparent bid to be the most conservative Republican of them all.
Since I've been governor, we took on the unions and we won. We defunded Planned Parenthood and passed pro-life legislation. We need to repeal Obamacare once and for all. We make the same requirement to make sure people can pass a drug test before they get a welfare check. And we now require a photo ID to vote in this state.
Did you see the wink there? He's so psyched. Josh, is Scott Walker not just a much less entertaining Donald Trump?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think the left needs to not get too giddy about Scott Walker because liberals talk about him like, oh, so awful, so far to the right, whatever. Yes. But they need to remember they have lost to this guy over and over again in a blue state. I mean, the AFL-CIO...
Wisconsin is the most partisan divided state in the entire country.
Yes, but it is a state that... When was the last time Wisconsin voted for a Republican nominee for president? I believe it was 1984. It's not a strongly Democratic state, but it's a state where Democrats have a modest advantage, and yet Democrats picked a recall election against Scott Walker.
Wait.
I'm
confused about your general thesis that liberals don't need to get too giddy because he actually stands a chance.
No. Liberals look at him and say, oh, he's such an extremist, and they think they can basically point at him and go, wow, what an extremist, and win.
Well, I'm not sure that liberals are giddy over what such an extremist, and more like, does this guy actually represent the Republican Party? And if so, what are the implications of that on the national stage?
Well, he certainly represents a portion of the Republican Party. He's been positioning himself markedly a bit to the right of Marco Rubio and Jeb Bush, going out there and saying that the party should pursue a constitutional amendment on gay marriage, which Rubio and Bush don't want to do. He's out there today saying that he doesn't think the Boy Scouts should be letting gay adults participate in the organization. So he's definitely staking out a more conservative position, particularly on social issues. And I think that makes him a weaker general election candidate than Jeb Bush would be. But I think the left needs to be careful when they look at him and figure out which of those things really actually are wedge issues they can win with the general electorate on and which aren't. Because I think on the union power stuff, which is where liberals have gone after Walker during his governorship, they keep fighting him on it and they keep losing at the ballot box.
This is an interesting strategy that his team seems to be pursuing, Amy. It is apparently, according to one longtime Walker advisor, it is much easier to move from being a conservative to being a middle-of-the-road moderate later on.
Well, I mean, he's looking at the primaries and looking at the general. I mean, he's got a 55% unfavorability rating. He's got tremendous hostility against him. Yes, he also has some support. I was just speaking at an energy fair in Custer, Wisconsin. He comes out and says we have to care less about climate change, really. And I think rather than talk about unions, talk about workers and the level that people are suffering right now. I mean, he actually isn't that different than Bush when talking about people have to work more, or Trump when it comes to just that level of vitriol that he's willing to put out there. The fact that workers in Wisconsin, 150,000 people. I remember going out to cover the uprising there. It was astounding. And it was not a bunch of liberals there. I mean, I was interviewing older guys with white hair and glasses, IRS auditors against Walker. And I went up, I said, who'd you vote for? They said, well, Governor Walker, of course, but he never said he was going to do any of this. I saw some of the biggest guys out there I've ever seen. I said, who did you vote for? They said, well, Mr. Walker, Governor Walker, of course. And they were Oshkosh prison guards.
Yeah.
He united people across the political spectrum against him. Yes, he has won some victories. He's got some very powerful backers as he seeks the support of the Koch brothers, as he pursues the agenda of ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council, where government leaders and corporate heads get together. The corporate heads write the legislation and they put it forward. He is part and parcel of all of the leaders right now of the Republican Party contending for the presidency.